Hey, Maria back with another video. It's 10:07 p.m. It is Monday, January 8th, and I am back with another video, and I didn't think I was going to have any energy to do the video. I really wanted to go to bed, but then when I got to bed, I'm thinking about stuff. so, stuff that doesn't necessarily put me in a calm enough mood to go to sleep, so I guess I'll be up for a little bit more. So anyway, I was thinking, about, like when I was younger, around late 90s, early 2000s, I was doing a lot of reading about, these topics that kind of relate to me, but I didn't think that it related to me. um, and I was thinking, how backwards this is. This is so backwards. Like, all my life I was persecuted for being who I was, clone. But the fact that everyone tried to change my behavior, and the people that wanted to change my behavior, and I'm not talking necessarily about I'm talking about people like that I knew. Okay, I'm not talking about people in positions of power. I'm eliminating this from the equation because I'm just talking about like what I had to deal with. Okay, the behavior of people and their maybe is this event video? What do I call this event video? Okay, well, maybe, kind of, but not like I'm trying to stir up trouble. It's more just like me kind of like regurgitating memories and then just kind of talking about it. Because really, like, when I get pissed off, I start clenching my fist and biting my lip. I literally have, like, bumps in the middle, in my mouth from, like, biting down on my lip so hard because I can't wring these people's necks, right? I can't do anything about it. So I'm just like, ugh, but no, I'm not feeling any of that. Um, what I'm feeling is just I'm looking at this in the big picture. How, someone like myself in a situation like that was not really. It was an impossible situation to live through. It's like you set a person up to fail when you have these sort of experiments and stuff like that. And they really started to intensify, their little hate campaign, I would say, like, in the middle of first grade, and then it started to escalate from there, right? Do you understand, like, what it's like for a kid to feel nervous to go to school and dread it? Like, I remember on Sundays, oh my God, I dreaded going to school. I'm like, oh my God. And I remember my mom, I don't know if she, part was the experiment, a part of the experiment for her to know what was going on, because that would really be sick. You know what I mean? But this, to me, the whole experiment was just like so inhumane. And how is it that people could not recognize it? Because people don't. I really do understand how depraved, like, people, morally depraved society is. Where they wouldn't even think, like, that's just normal. Like, that's normal behavior. Like, it's completely okay. It's completely fine to do. Um, wow. You know, I don't know, like, I've mentioned before, like, my view of how the world operates. I do believe that this world is hell. I totally do believe that we're here for some sort of transition period, that it's like, because it's torment, it's tormenting. I find life on earth tormenting by the behavior of people, by the common normalization of cruelty, and the fact that they can easily dehumanize through people without even thinking about it. Like, literally ripping a person's life and then putting them in this vicious cycle of pointing fingers and blame. Like, I was always wondering, like, people wonder, like, what happened to me after I left high school, right? I left high school because of the bullying. That's exactly why I left high school. It wasn't because I wanted to hang out and just party with a bunch of friends. There were times where I would go over to people's house, to do teenagey type stuff. But for most of the time, I was spending it by myself. I just wanted to get the fuck away from that environment. I hated it. There's a lot of kids who get bullied in school, and they don't really have anyone to talk to because people they have like bullying campaigns and stuff like that. But like I said, just like the sexual harassment training and all the other bullshit that you fucking go through, and nobody even seems to like um, retain any of that or act on any of that or recall any of that information that they learned. They just instinctively like do stupid shit, right? So, um, really, it's a nightmare. I just look at life as a fucking nightmare. I look at, I can't help but see people in a certain way after experiencing something like that. Like I always have to feel like, you know, um, I'm very reserved, okay? But I still retain my like ability to have a conversation and stuff like that. But I'm very, very reserved, and rightfully so. But it's funny when you see the kind of mind control that people can be under. And I understood like what was going on with me, even though, like for example, what was going on in the workplace was unnecessary. And I'm talking about not just like the last employer, but the employers all the way going back. Every single last employer that I've ever worked for, it was their agenda, to fuck with me. I had no idea. You know what I mean? I was just somebody who's just like, I was a single mom, and I know they use that against me, right? But when you think about it, if you don't give a person a stable environment, they're going to start looking for that stable environment in other people, and they're going to make mistakes. Okay, that's not me saying that what I did was right by having a child out of wedlock, which I hate even saying child, but to me that's nothing. It doesn't mean anything. You know what I mean? To me, it's like, okay, at least I took responsibility for that. I was willing to work and provide for my son, and I never complained or tried to ask anybody for anything. I always felt as though, I honestly did feel, okay, that people should pull their own weight and do the best they can to take care of themselves. Like, I never felt like, I do remember my mom was supported by my dad, right? And I do recall thinking that that was very scary to do because I've never felt that I could ever trust anyone. I could never trust anyone. Um, that probably comes from past lives and also, growing up in this family that was bullying me covertly and whatever. So, let me get some tea really quick. I'm so thirsty. Gosh. Anyway, I never felt like I could trust anyone. I was always like, because I felt like every time I met somebody, it was just a matter of time before they showed their true face. I know in a lot of the jobs I used to go to, like it starts off like, and a lot of like, what do you call it? Cults or religious groups use this same tactic. Like it's called love bombing. Okay, like you see a lot of like broken people, like like some people like who are homeless or whatever. Nothing wrong with that. I'm not blaming these people, okay, but they'll take people who are in very desperate situations, right, and they'll welcome into the church and stuff, and and that's fine. There's nothing wrong with that. But what I'm talking about is the technique. This is just one of the places that they use this technique at. Like, when I remember going to my sister's church, the love bombing was just a little too creepy for me. You know what I mean? Like, first of all, it's the hugging. Like, I don't know you, okay? Don't hug me. Do not surround me and do not sing in me at me. Don't do that shit. I don't. Anyway, that's not. It's just too fake. It's too fake, okay? It's like this over kindness that they sit there and grow on you. It's almost like ridiculous, right? And then you think, okay, first, you don't really think about it. So like, oh, yeah, it's a nice place to work, right? But you start seeing a pattern on it, and you're like, oh, wait a second, what's going on here? But like, the thing is that they want you to be their little chum, and they want you to tell them, your little shit and whatever. And, and then they'll flip shit around real quick. This is what happens in, like, the workplace mobbing type situations where you're kind of set up to be bullied over anything. You know what I mean? So, and it's always stuff that to me is insignificant. But, it's been like all this time I was dealing with something very, very sick. You know what I mean? I consider myself to be, obviously, if I'm somebody who operates, like, I'm law abiding, okay? And I also respect the rights of others, I'm not the one with the problem. And I never thought that I was, regardless of, like, the fact that at the time I didn't know that it was, like, this big of an issue. Okay, like, I was thinking, like, it was on my family level, and Tanya was just, like, on her high horse, and thinking that she, had the right to tell people what to do, and then my brother, who's, to me, that whole thing is just, like, really disturbing to me. You know what I mean? Obviously, because I didn't spend much time with him as an adult, and I rarely saw my brother, and the fact that he would do things like that, and not, it's the whole double agent thing, it's the whole fake family thing, that bothers me. You know what I mean? It's creepy. It was wrong. You know what I mean? They're trying to teach me a lesson of being a moral person, and the very foundation of the entire family is immoral in so many fucking ways. It's so sick and twisted. The whole thing, to me, was wrong. The whole thing was wrong. All of it. You know what I mean? If whoever's, like, sitting there jotting down notes for the experiment, which I hope that's ended now, okay, you need to understand, like I said, this should never be duplicated. It should never be, like, done again on another human being. Number one, like, not saying, if you have an issue or your plan is to clone people, go ahead and do that, I guess so. But if you're going to do it, so it needs to be done in a different environment. It needs to be done in, like, an environment, because the intent, right, was literally to enjoy some form of cruelty in it, okay? Because we all know the original person, I mean, the originator of this. It's the whole mastermind, or the thought process, or the person who was, like, bold enough to actually do these sort of experiments, okay? So it's twisted from the get-go. It's twisted from the ground up, right? But it's it's the, it's twisted because how is it that people couldn't see the corruption? Because completely they completely normalize this sort of barbaric behavior. You know what I mean? That's what's like, oh my God, I do have very high standards, very, very high standards, and I think, like I said, if you were to try to clone another person, okay, but you're doing it for serious reasons, like I said, like in the beginning, where, like, you're doing it because you want to produce people who have better qualities. Like, what I mean by better qualities is somebody who can be self-controlled, somebody who can make good decisions, somebody who seems to master certain things in life, okay? If you want to create that, which I believe was something that Hitler was thinking or considering, his idea of creating, like, this superior race or whatever. So let's just say, for example, they wanted to do this with, like, they wanted to create clones, okay? And no, I'm not suggesting that, but you know what I'm saying, okay? Please don't take this and, like, spin it into something else. That's not what I'm saying. But let's just say, for example, you wanted to produce, like, a certain kind of a person, like productive people, like a society of people who had similar traits, right? It would be better to put them in environments where they are in homes where, number one, they're wanted, okay, which that's rare. A lot of people don't want their fucking kids, okay? That's rare, but whatever. Anyway, they should be in an environment where they are not being bullied. So I would suggest, like, maybe put them in, like, the whole private school, you're going to get just as bullied. I've heard so many kids being bullied in private school, okay? But I would think the best thing for people to do is allow their children, if they're raising a person like me, they should have opted for, like, homeschool. Because I do remember there was a time, I think it was like a little bit when I was going into like the first grade or something. I remember my dad bringing home this like homeschool kid, right? And he was talking about homeschooling us. And I don't know, now that I'm thinking about it, maybe he was thinking about this option because of me, perhaps? I don't know. But if they could work in certain environments, since they're going to be a clone in society, and the goal is to produce other clones to integrate in society and perhaps maybe even be the majority of society. If that was their like utopian plan or whatever, if that was the goal, right? It seems as though they would have to have an environment that is specifically for them. I will say that it seems unfair a little bit to me to create somebody, and I know my father was good-hearted when he did this, but still, it is very difficult for someone like me to have to live among this kind of corruption. It is very disturbing to me to have to witness things like this. Like when I think about homeless people, for example, like I trip on homeless people all the time, okay? It's because how is it that they could be discarded like the way that they are? You know what I mean? It's very, I think too much maybe. Um, but I guess that's just the way it is, you know. But I take things very seriously, and it's hard for me. It's hard for people like myself, and I think what some of these people who were trying to change me were trying to make it so that you know I'm never going to blend in with society, okay? And this is not something for me to be, it's not about being rebellious. It's just that I obviously see that there's something wrong with it. There's something seriously wrong with society, okay? I note that, okay? And it's not that I don't learn from other people, because I do, okay? I think Deepak Chopra is someone that I highly respect, okay? He has a lot of wisdom, okay? So I take things from what people say and I can learn from them, just like we should. We have to exchange ideas. It's a part of the human process. It's part of how we grow, right? But when I see things that I can fully understand, it's obvious that there's not going to be anything productive from it. And I can obviously understand the outcome of certain actions, then I'm not going to do it. I'm not going to do it. That's not me being like a rebellious person. It's about me thinking, okay, something is wrong with what I see, and therefore it would be foolish for me to sit here and walk backwards. It's backwards. Society is backwards. That sounds like, and it's not me being arrogant. I've experienced it. I've experienced it when I was a child and having to deal with adults treating me in that manner. And the reason why they did that is because something is fucked up with society. If my name could be smeared from California all the way to the other side of the United States, there's something wrong with society. And I've done nothing. There's something seriously wrong with it. The way that they think about, you know, the religious view issue, and it's not me hating people, and it's not me hating white people, because black people were just involved in this as well. You know what I mean? It's the whole thought process. So no, it's not. I mean, what people with the perps didn't understand is that I'm somebody who seriously observes what's around me, and I choose to incorporate things in my life that I feel are beneficial, and I will exclude the rest. I don't care if everyone is doing this, that, and the other thing. That does not matter to me. It matters what is the end result. Is it going to be beneficial, and is it going to, you know, what's the real benefit here? Okay, and if it's not anything that's going to enhance my life in any way, which I see most people who make choices in their lives is shitty. they'll tell me enough where I'm like, okay, I can understand from what you're saying that I would not go that direction. And I can obviously see, it's very obvious to me that they're fucked up. A lot of people that I've dealt with that were like bullying me and shit like that. So why the fuck would I want to be like these people? I don't. I don't want to be like that. I don't want to be somebody who thinks it's okay to toss someone's life up in the air and think it's funny, or somebody who's doing, who can see that I've struggled my entire life, who's still brave enough to be an asshole in my face. Like, what you want to add to this fucking, like, genocide program? What the fuck is wrong with you? Basically what I wanted to say to them. And yeah, okay, this is a vent video, okay, okay, and for all the people who do support me, I do appreciate you listening to my rant, but it's just something that's heavy on my mind, and I really don't have that therapeutic opportunity that other people have. Like, they can talk about, like, their boyfriend's cheating on them, or they got a kid who's, like, misbehaving in school. Those aren't my fucking problems. My fucking problems is that they're too weird to even talk to a therapist about. You know what I mean? I'm just sitting here like, seriously, I have to be everything to me for my own self. I cannot trust a goddamn person. I hate the fact that, I hate the fact that this issue has stuck with me for so long, and I hate the fact that, that I'm suffering from it to this very day. I don't like that fact. You know what I mean? It's like, I wish that the reality was that, I came from like my mother and my father were actually my parents, even though I couldn't stand my mother at times, because that's what I knew for like 52 years, you know? That's what I thought, it's just kind of weird, but I am grateful to be Prince Alame, who I'm just, it's weird to me. It's very strange. Like I said, I'm somebody who, I love every fucking thing that's spooky. Every creepy story you can ever think of, I love that. I love going to bed all freaked out. When I was a kid, I didn't like it, but I grew to just like, you know what? It wasn't scary. It's not scary to me anymore. Of course, back when I was a kid, I had some terrifying issues. Okay, now I would say when I do have those sort of experiences, and I don't have any astral experiences, I haven't had them in a while, but like having really great lucid type dreams or whatever, they're very pleasant. They're fun to go into, and every night I'm like hoping that I'll either have some sort of lucid dream or astral project. I mean, really, it's great, but the whole thing of me, like, being, it's just weird to me, you know what I mean? But anyway, and then, um, coming to understand, like, my father had to deal with the same shit that I dealt with, and probably even worse, you know, um, that's heartbreaking to me. Really, it is, you know. At least I had some sort of buffer. What I mean by that is like I knew how to deal with my problem in a way where I didn't have to show it or have to, bring other people into it. I think it was very stressful for my dad to have to be around with his kids all the time when he was dealing with something that heavy, and that's a lot on a person. He was the only one who worked in the house, so he was a breadwinner. So after he couldn't work anymore, I know even though he was losing his mind, he just felt like he wasn't worth anything. But I felt that that's how he felt, and he said things that made me feel that way. Like, he was basically saying that, without me like saying it exactly the way he was saying it, but. It broke my heart to hear him say those things. You know what I mean? And I didn't want him to lose his mind. I really didn't, because his mind was the thing that kept me captivated. It was the thing that, like, I enjoyed the most about my father, But, yeah, it was a tragedy. It was an absolute tragedy. Everything the whole thing was a nightmare from childhood throughout the years, And I just want to move on with my life. You know what I mean? And I think that's what I'm trying to do. But I have too much spare time. You know, I need to get busy on other things. I haven't checked my Patreon account. I haven't bothered with it yet. I probably won't bother with that until like maybe, I don't know, um, probably maybe Friday or something. Right now, I haven't even checked my emails, or did I? I don't even think I turned my computer on today. Like, I feel like I'm so sick and tired of like those little remnants, those little reminders that I was targeted by a bunch of bloodthirsty weirdos. You know what I mean? Like, God, give me a break. You know, seriously, give me a break. You know, I can't even understand it. Like, I can't understand, like, you know, how people could have. I don't know. I guess I am wired differently. I'm wired differently, you know, and that's the biggest issue about being this clone individual, because I bring all these issues from my past life and retained them. Okay, like as far as my behavioral patterns and stuff like that, and I'm very grateful for them. But the problem is that, you know, I get bullied over it because people get like competitive when I'm not trying to compete. I'm basically seriously just trying to survive, not a joke. Anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video. I don't have any intuitive messages other than my thought about um, kind of blowing off some steam about, you know, people trying to teach me a lesson, people, you know, trying to change my behavior. I don't want to be like a part of society. What I would do, I do. I mean, I want to pay my taxes, okay? If there was some sort of disaster relief program that was going on in Bakersfield and I had the, you know, the ability to help or something, would I do that? Yeah, of course I would. But, like, I'm not trying to pick up that behavior of like not thinking and doing and following every little order or whatever instruction eh, without questioning it. Is this moral? Is this right? You know what I mean? Why would we do something like that? Does this sound a little bit? I mean, I don't know. I don't know. Anyway, I hope you guys think a little bit more. I'm sure you guys are. Thank you for your support. I do appreciate it. I can't, like I said, I don't have any intuitive messages. Right now, I'm just tripping on stuff that needs to be like fully regurgitated out out of my head and then out of my mouth. Just release it, whatever. Do what I have to do. Like I said, I can't deal with a therapist because therapists probably couldn't deal with me because this shit is just way too weird. You know what I mean? So there's really no point in going to a therapist. They don't even give you lollipops anymore. That sucks. But anyway, I'm going to wrap up this video, and I will be back with another video sometime later. Take care. Good night.